Listeners, beware! Prepare for a Patreon scare. Howdy folks, welcome to Nightmare on Fear Street, an R.L. Stine podcast, and welcome to the very first Patreon exclusive episode. Woo! Thanks for giving us money and supporting the show. We really appreciate all that stuff. Just because all the money that you give us, we put into a Swedish bank account, and we make sure that it gets laundered. I mean, we put it right back into the show. Yes, actually, yeah. To be honest, all the money that you donate to the show goes right back into the show, if it may be mics, books, or anything in between. So thank you guys. This is a very special episode. It's going to be coming out exclusively for Patreon. Might be coming out in our regular feed later on, but for right now, you guys get something special, something unique, something completely different. Yeah, guys. So we're going to be doing a Choose Your Own Adventure. Yeah, I have a couple of them. I started collecting them just because I found that like old children's books are really easy to collect, but they're also really hard to collect, and they're also really fun to collect, if that makes any sense. Just because old game books, anything, I have a bunch of old D&D manuals, I have a bunch of old Choose Your Own Adventure, anything that's like, for me, I'm complete trash when it comes to stuff like this, and I just eat this stuff up. Goosebumps, Zack Files, The Mystery of Chimney Rock, like, I just love this stuff. It's just one of those things that's great to collect, and it's also should be preserved just because it basically encapsulates an entire generation. So we're going to be going through a Choose Your Own Adventure. I know we've done some Give Yourself Goosebumps on the shows with some wonderful guests, but this is more of a... I find Choose Your Own Adventures are a lot easier to play with people because they're less wacky than Give Yourself Goosebumps. We're doing The Mystery of Chimney Rock. This is actually not by R.A. Montgomery. This is by Edward Packard, and it's actually, the illustrations are done by Paul Granger. And they're really, I don't know what it is about, this book came out in the late 70s, early 80s, and it feels like someone that just dipped out of the 70s. I don't know what it is about, like, artwork at this time. Everything is, like, yellow mellow, and I guess maybe, like, Sgt. Pepper-ish. But this is one of those weird things where the way I look at it, the cover that I have is, there's, like, the front and center, there's, like, this black cat, its eyes are peering out at you, and in the like left back there's like an old creepy farmer guy. Pretty much in the center there's like this really decrepit looking woman, and she's the type of woman that like she doesn't like fight with you. She like points at like her extremely bony finger and like points at you and pokes you when she wants to yell at you. And you pretty much have like this bowl haircut, and you're wearing pretty much like a bowling shirt, and you're going down into an attic. And this is, the funny thing about the one that I got here, I got this at a library, and it's the special book fair edition. Ooh, so this is super special. Will you unlock the mysteries of Chimney Rock? On your vacation to Connecticut, you notice a huge empty stone house at the top of a hill. Some of the windows are boarded up. Some are covered with vines. The old house known as Chimney Rock is so dark and gloomy that most people won't go near. But you're a curious type. Should you see for yourself what's inside? Your cousin urges you to go ahead. So we're going to be going through this book. I'm so excited. Are you guys ready to go to Chimney Rock? Yeah, cool. I can't believe we got that instant reaction. Warning, do not read this book straight through from beginning to end. These pages contain many different adventures you can go on in Chimney Rock. From time to time, you will read along and you will be asked to make your choice. Your choices may lead to success or disaster. The adventure you take are a result of your choice. You are responsible because you choose. After you make a choice, follow the instructions and see what happens next. Remember, you can't go back. Think carefully before you make a move. One mistake can be your last, or it may lead you to fame and fortune. I like fame and fortune, but I also like disaster, so we might as well start going. Are you guys ready? I know I am. Vacation is here and you're visiting your cousins Michael and Jane for a few days in their new home in Connecticut. Soon after you arrive, they take you on a tour of the neighborhood. Along a shady street lined with cozy houses and neatly trimmed lawns. At the top of that hill, you notice a huge stone house unlike you have ever seen before. It has turrets, walled terraces, and a square tower that looks like a giant chimney. Some of the windows are boarded up and others are hidden by vines and bushes. There's a big dog chained to the front of the house of the little cottage near you, and you ask your cousins if anyone lives there in that main house. Chimney Rock? Most people around here won't live there for $1 million. $1 million, you say? I'm pretty sure I'd live there for $1 million. Heck, give me $2 million and I'll live there for like 80 years, Michael says. It's supposed to be cursed, Jane adds. They say that some people who have gone inside have never been seen again. What happened to them is still a mystery. I mean, like, they're overhyping this house. This is pretty much like, yeah, you shouldn't go in there, but they're still nodding their heads like, yeah, you should go in there. You see Michael explain, Mrs. Bigley lived in Chimney Rock along with her cat for many years. When she died, she left her instructions in her will for the cat could live there for the rest of its life. People say she put a curse on the house so that no one would ever bother the cat. Yeah, she gave all her money to her cat. Let's go. Woo-wee! I wish I had the crazy old lady that would just donate all her money to a goldfish, but what happens when the goldfish dies? That's what I've always wondered. Like, does the cat have a will? What happens next? Does it just go to the next of kin? Would that be for the cat next? Would that be like the litter of kittens it has? There's so many legal questions. If someone that is a lawyer, please, I need to know this. I think it's still legal. I'm pretty sure in some states it's still legal you could totally will your stuff to your pet animal. Haven't the police investigated, you asked? The police never found anyone, only the cat, Michael says. But some people say Mrs. Bigsley never died at all, and that she's still living there herself. What does the caretaker say, you ask? He doesn't say anything, Michael replies. Some say he's crazy. Some say he's just mean. But I guess he's afraid of the curse too, because I hear he won't set foot inside Chimney Rock. You're not kidding, you ask. If you think you're kidding, Michael says, why don't you go inside? And what are you, chicken? Hey, no one calls me chicken. So here are our options. If you say, I'll do it, turn to page 4. If you say, no thanks, turn to page 6. I have a feeling if I turn to page 6, it'd be like, you go home and do your homework like an average nerd. But JK, really, you just turn to page 4 for realsies. Like, it gives you like a fake cop-out ending. So we're gonna go turn to page 4. I'll do it, you say. Okay, Michael explains. When are you going? Jane and I will watch you. They're not even gonna come in with you. They're just gonna be like, yeah, you go in there and we'll stay out here and keep guard. We'll honk like a barn owl 4 times if there's cops. We'll want to say goodbye to you, Jane says. You take the time to get a flashlight from the house and then the 3 of you set off to Chimney Rock. You feel a bit nervous, but it's a beautiful day and you keep telling yourself there is nothing to worry about. As you approach the house, you look bleak and foreboding, like some medieval fortress. A dark cloud passes in front of the sun. The wind blows dust in your eyes. You wish you hadn't agreed to go inside, but it's too late to go back now. So Michael and Jane watch from a distance. You walk across the house and to try all the doors. Every one of them is locked except for one in the back of the house. You wave your cousins to open the door and walk inside that leads into the large kitchen. There are rows of sinks and counters and a huge black oven. The floor is laid with dark red tile, many of them chipped and loose. The windows are covered with cloth shades, and you raise one of them and let in more light. On your right is a flight of steps leading from the kitchen upstairs to the left in a swinging door, which you imagine leads to the dining room. Now, the way I see this is you've already performed a breaking and entry. So if I guess, go up the stairs and go into the dining room, I'm pretty much guaranteed to get arrested at this point if the cat is just the cat. If you go through the swinging door into the dining room, turn to page 10. If you go up the stairs, turn to page 8. I feel like if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this like the Resident Evil 1 approach and just go to the dining room first and meet up with Barry. So we're going to turn to page 10. Keep in mind that I have not really read this book. I had skimmed it once, but I do not remember anything about it. So all these choices are real time, and I'll make sure that, they're really cool. You walk through the swinging door into an elegant dining room. A splendid crystal chandelier hangs over the tall oak table. Double bay windows are partly hidden by dark green satin curtains. A bottle of wine rests on a silver tray on the sideboard. Next to it is a bright green china cat. You sit down at the table and ponder the situation. So you're just sitting at the table now I've already broken an entry and maybe I could steal this wine or steal some stuff and sell it on ye olde eBay. There is a small brass bell within reach and on impulse you ring it. Ding dong, you're an idiot. That's pretty much what just happened. Ding dong, called the cops. I'm an idiot. Within moments, a door you hadn't noticed before opens and a thin young woman walks in. She's wearing a black dress with a little white hat in the fashion of a maid. Oh, she says, looking at you with surprise. I didn't know Mrs. Bigley was expecting a guest today. I'm Lena. May I bring you anything? Perhaps cheese and crackers? You must be hungry. Cheese and crackers in an old creepy house? I guess my options are, if you accept her offer, turn to page 16. If you decide to question her, first turn to page 17. Well, I gotta think of it this way. I could be poisoned, I could be drugged, I could be really stale, gross crackers, or I can ask her for information just because for me, I'd just be asking for information. I wouldn't accept, crackers and cheese from a stranger, even though they're probably like $1 million worth of crackers and cheese. No, thanks, you reply. I heard this house is occupied by Mrs. Bigsley's cat. Yes, that would be the exact same thing, I would say. But I guess Mrs. Bigsley lives here too. If I had known that, I wouldn't have barged in. Oh, Mrs. Bigsley doesn't mind. I'm sure she was expecting you. She loves to have visitors, Lena says. I'm glad of that, you reply, but where is she? She's upstairs in the music room playing the piano, Lena answers. I can just leave Chimney Rock right now, or I can go up to the music room. I'm pretty sure if I try to leave Chimney Rock, I'm gonna turn around and get a shovel to the face, and then that'll be the end of me, and they'll put me on like a low-fat milk carton. I might as well say hi to Mrs. Bigsley, seeing how I broke and entered, and I'm really curious that if she gave all her money to her cat. Then I shall pay my respects to her, you say. You are cautious to meet the mysterious Mrs. Bigsley and dispel the myth about the curse. You get directions to the music room from Lena, and you find your way from the hall up the wide oak staircase to the second floor. From the upper hall you can hear the soft plunking sound of an old piano. She's most likely playing like Moonlight Sonata on the piano or something like do 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 do. Turn to page 69. I mean, I'm not mature whatsoever. I didn't say I was mature. As you approach the door to the music room, the sound changes. You hear a jumble of notes as if a small child was banging on the keyboard. It's Keyboard Cat. Do 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 do. You pause a moment. The door is slightly ajar. Instead of knocking, you look through the crack with one eye. In the middle of the room is a grand piano made out of ebony and inlaid with gold. A large black cat is walking back and forth on the keys. It must be Melissa. Melissa? Wait, what? The cat has a name? No, what? I didn't skip a page. I guess he just named the cat Melissa. Sensing your presence, the cat stops and stares instantly at the crack in the door. You cannot be sure whether or not she knows you are watching it. There is no sign of anyone in the room. Whoever was playing the piano must have left. So if you enter the room, approach the cat, turn to page 62. If you go back towards the stairs, turn to page 63. I might as well just enter the room because it's just the cat playing the piano. You walk back towards the stairs and turn down another hall leading to some bedrooms, the furthest on which you stay connected to the music room. At the end of the hall is a large mirror with an ornate gold frame. As you approach it, you see your own reflection, and behind it is the silhouette of a tall, elderly woman dressed in black. Even in the dim light, you can see her burning green eyes fixed on you. They seem to pin you on your place, in which a power so strong that you cannot move. You stand helpless as you walk towards you. You know you must focus yourself to act. So you break the silence by talking to page 86, where you turn and run past her and get down the stairs. I'm just going to try talking to her just because I just turn around and be like, well, I've been expecting you, old woman. The wheel of time keeps turning. Because I'm pretty sure if she turns, this is the old lady from the cover, and I turn around and start running, she's going to grab me with her bony hands, and then I'll have to go to prison. You roll around and face her. Mrs. Bigsley, you say loudly. How nice it is to have visitors, she replies in a raspy voice. You've been in the house quite a while, haven't you? But you've been running around for a while, quiet as a mouse. I hardly knew you were there to find you. Well then, you're here, come with me, and I'll have some good cheese and crackers I know you will like. What is with this woman and cheese and crackers? I know it's Connecticut, but come on, guys. Cheese and crackers? What if I'm lactose intolerant? I'm intolerant of this woman just being super nice. But I guess I'll accept those cheese and crackers. You go into the pantry with Mrs. Bigsley. Some crackers and cheese are already on the table. You decide to eat one cracker and no more. As soon as you take your first bite, you feel dizzy. Your vision starts to blur as well as you can tell everything around you. You look as if it's growing in size. The fuzzy outline of Mrs. Bigsley seems to be tower over you. You wonder if you've been poisoned, but you can't think straight. Oh no! You've been knocked out. You're gonna be kidnapped. You jump down from your chair and run as fast as you can out of the dining room into the study. You hear the sounds behind you. Mrs. Bigsley must be chasing you. You dare not look back. For the instant you realize you shouldn't be afraid of an old woman, but you are afraid. Ahead of you is a small passageway you didn't notice before. It looks almost like a tunnel in an escape route. You scramble inside. You have to crawl, but generally it seems to get larger, such larger that you can almost stand up. Suddenly you realize that your surrounding has not been getting larger, you've been getting smaller. Much, much smaller. You try to stand up, but you can't seem to keep your balance. Standing on your hind legs, you cry out, but your brain can only think, run, eat, hide, like the mouse you are. The end. So I got turned into a mouse? Is this The Witches? Is the old lady Angelica Houston? Speaking of that movie, I watched it recently, and I remember seeing it when I was younger, and that movie's horrifying. It has some really good Jim Henson effects, but my favorite part about it that I had not realized the first time watching it, if you watch that scene with the witch convention, like literally like half the witches in that are actually like men in drag, and it is some of the funniest things trying to spot all the men with all the women, because they couldn't get enough women to be in that scene, so they dressed a bunch of like the PAs up, and it is one of the most adorable things you can possibly see in that movie. So we're gonna rewind this. I guess what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go up the stairs. So I'm going to turn to page 8, and this is going to be at the beginning. So we had just broken in. You start up the stairs trying to make as little noise as possible. The railing is falling off, and the dust and cobwebs get thicker with each step of the way, until you reach the landing, which is dimly lit by a pale light coming through the circular stained glass window. Steps continue in two directions. From the landing on the same level is the hall leading to the door slightly ajar. You walk up to it and you push it gently open. 4 is a dingy room filled with furniture and trunks, an old-fashioned radio, a grandfather clock, a rocking chair, some coils of rope, piles of rocks, and a dusty floor, a dead mouse in the back of the room, and a large closet. Oh, so there's a dead mouse here, so it was probably the last kid that went up there. So if I open the closet, turn to page 14. If I go back to the landing, turn to page 15. I might as well just go into the closet. Maybe R. Kelly's there. You make your way through the furniture scattered around the room, and you open the door to the closet. It smells like mothballs and filled with clothes. Some very old, some quite new. You notice a policeman's uniform and a large key ring with 3 rings hanging in the nails. You're suddenly startled by the squeaking noise. It is only a mouse scurrying around the room. You walk back towards the door. The mouse comes running right at you. You step back and nearly kick it away, but suddenly it rolls over on its side dead. You rush out of the room towards the stairs. Then, as you're collecting your weight, you remember the keys. You wonder if they might come in handy. So I'm pretty sure if this is like Mrs. Bigsley turns people into mice, like in The Witches. So now Mrs. Bigsley is now Angelica Houston. I just killed a police officer, or he just died of a heart attack. Aw. So if I go back for the keys, turn to page 24. If you continue down the stairs, turn to page 25. I'm going to go back for those keys. Because if video games have told me something, keys are always important. Cautiously, you retrace your steps to the storeroom closet. You take the keyring and return to the landing. At the top of one of the flights of the stairs leading towards you, make out the silhouette of a large black cat, its green eyes shining in the gloom of the hall. Its back aches, its teeth bared. The cat hisses softly as you approach. The picture they have of this cat is, its eyes are so slanted it looks like it's Jar Jar Binks. It's like a Gungan. It's kind of creepy, and I would like kung fu flip this cat like right off this banister. It does not look like a regular cat. I love cats. Cats love me. But this cat, this evil black cat, is like reptile cat. Or it's like the cat from Reanimator, the one that Herbert West brings back, is like, don't worry, it's this poor sad cat, like the cat's like in half, like, don't worry, can't do much. It's like that type of cat. It's like sad. I should just, oh god. If you call to the cat and show you are friendly, turn to page 44. If you retreat down the stairs to the kitchen, turn to page 46. I'm not touching that freaking cat. That cat's angry, and I've been scratched by a cat before. So I'm gonna turn to page 46 before I have to roundhouse kick it. You start down the stairs towards the kitchen, keeping an eye on the direction of the cat. You reach the landing and start to walk along the passageway leading off from it. You're wondering whether to continue on when you hear a muffled voice calling, "Melissa, what are you? Melissa, where are you?" Could this be Mrs. Bigsley? As you cautiously walk along the passageway, you hear the voice squeaking again. "It's time for you to come with me, Melissa." You round the corner and encounter a slim, tall, elderly woman dressed in black. Her face is wrinkled and her green eyes are sharp. Her nose seems darker than the rest of her face. Her head slopes back and reddish-white hair is swept back into the bun. She stares at you with a hatred in her eyes, and you stare back, determined not to turn your eyes away. Suddenly, she shrieks and you run down the stairs. You follow her back down the stairs and stumble through the kitchen and out into the yard. You sit down in the base of a large tree trying to sort out your thoughts. In a few minutes, Jane and Michael join you. They tell you that they've been searching the house but could not find Mrs. Bigsley or the cat. The next morning, you visit Jane and Michael. It is an end. You have an hour or so before your bus leaves, and you walk up to the road again to Chimney Rock and start looking at it for a long time. Like, I just feel like that's when, like, the sad music plays, and, like, your hands are in the pockets, and, like, it's starting to slowly rain. That's what I'm just thinking in my head. Then you see the burly, fat-faced caretaker approaching you, his huge dog with him straining at the leash. Oh my god, he's coming to eat you. As you approach, you get ready to run, but he calls out, "Don't be afraid, I'm a friend. You have freed me from the witch's curse." "What do you mean? Where's Mrs. Bigsley?" "She died yesterday," he replies, "for the last time." What? What? I guess I killed her. I was like, "You're a poopy head," and she had a heart attack and died. I conducted involuntary manslaughter. "She died yesterday," he replied, "for the very last time. It's a good... Does this mean the house goes to you now, or the cat, or does it go to the caretaker?" I feel like this is the caretaker that's in Goblet of Fire. Oh, God. What did I get myself into, folks? Oh... "She died yesterday," he replied, "for the last time." What in the... I'm trying to wrap my head around, like, you... So I'm going to just form an epilogue right now. So you leave, and you don't think about this house ever again. And then, like, 60 years, when you're an older man and you have great-grandchildren, you get an envelope that said the house now belongs to you, and you go there. And as you're there, another kid passes by you, and you freeze and die because it's a curse. The house actually curses old people to live there. I don't even know how to react to this. Okay, that was an ending. You know what? The next ending, what we're going to be doing, I'm going to be saying no thanks. Like, this is on page 3. They said you want to go back inside, so we're going to go to page 6. When you say no thanks, Michael replies, "Well, I don't blame you. I'll go in," Jane says. "Even if you two are afraid, but only on one condition, that you'll come after me, and if I don't come out in 5 minutes..." You and Michael can hardly refuse, so 3 of you walk around the road to Chimney Rock. There is no sign of the caretaker anyways, and you circle around the house, trying all the doors. Jane finds out that it is unlocked. While you are inside, Michael watches. She opens and walks inside. You suspect that Jane is standing just inside the door and will come out after 5 minutes are up. 5, then 6, then 7 minutes go by. You exchange a worried glance at Michael. "I guess you better go in after her," you say. "I'm going to get help," he replies. You stand watch. Before you can answer, he goes running off towards the road. I think my mom's calling me," and he just basically just bolts it. So if you go inside, turn to page 12. If you wait for Michael, turn to page 11. I'm going to go inside because this is my cousin, and I kind of think that I get along with my girl cousin more than my guy cousin, just because I feel like the guy cousin's like a meathead, and also he's a scaredy cat. And she did say Come after me if I'm not back in 5 minutes. Almost as soon as you step inside the house, you hear a muffled cry for help. It's Jane. Following the sound of her voice, you run through the kitchen, fling open the swinging door in the dining room, and make your way through the dark, musty library into the front hall. You find her there, huddled beside the grand staircase. What happened? Are you all right, you ask? If only you could help me, she cries. I'm trapped. Trapped? Yes. Looking around the house, and when I found a cat sitting right there where we are now, it must be Melissa. And I went up to pet her, and she gave me a terrible look, and she seemed to be laughing at me. And she began pacing back and forth as if there were bars between us. Finally, she went away, and as I feel as if bars are still there, and that is if I try to go through anything terrible, what will happen. You are unable to convince Jane that she has nothing to fear. If you try to force Jane across the bars to prove that there's nothing real, turn to page 19. If you say you'll go and get help, turn to page 20. There's a picture here, and it just shows her, like, cowering in, like, a fetal position with, I guess, imaginary bars, but I don't see any. So I feel like she's now practicing for mime school. So I'm going to turn to page 19, and if you try to force Jane across the bars to prove there's no one there. So I'm going to turn to page 19. Before Jane realizes what you're doing, you pull her through the imaginary bars. Melissa must have put a spell on me, she says. Just a little spell, you reply. Let's find that cat and we'll end this curse of Chimney Rock. At that moment, you hear the meowing from the top of the stairs.
Meow.
You two look up and run to the top of the landing. You look to your right and I'll go left, Jane says. There's no sign of the cat in the hall. You look in the bedroom with the door open. Still no luck. You must run the other hall and see how Jane is doing, but she's nowhere in sight. You call to her. You open every door that is not locked and look inside, but she doesn't answer. You walk back towards the stairs and jump to the steps where the mouse runs past you, then hurries for a few steps. Suddenly, standing before you is a tall elderly woman dressed in black, her hair swept back in a bun. Her burning green eyes stare right through you. So this is Mrs. Bigsley. She never died after all. She looks like a witch, but of course witches don't really exist. Or do they? Quick, throw water on her. We have to do the witch test. If she floats, she's a witch. If you speak to Mrs. Bigsley, turn to page 35. If you run down the stairs, turn to page 36. Well, I'm an idiot, as is my character, so I'm going to turn to page 35 and try to talk to her, even though I know what she is. I'm sorry to intrude, you say, but I must find my cousin Jane. She was here a moment ago, and now she's missing. Oh, you needn't worry about your little friend, Mrs. Bigsley said. She must have ran downstairs. We'll go look after her. Relieved at Mrs. Bigsley's words, you stare down at the staircase thinking she will follow. After a few steps, you glance back. She's gone. Confused, you continue at the first step into the library. Looks as if you'll have to search the house on your own. Wow, what a witch. Doesn't even want to help you. Old ladies. As you start towards the dining room, you hear a loud pounding in the back door as you run towards the kitchen and time to see a burly red-faced policeman come charging in. Michael is right behind you. I'm glad you're here, you cry out. We need help. Jane's missing. The policeman seems to be looking beyond you. He turns and sees Mrs. Bigsley glaring at you. How lovely to have some more guests, she says in a phony, sweet voice. Oh, I gotta say it like that. Oh, how lovely it is to have more guests. But where is Jane, you ask? I've looked everywhere, upstairs, and I can't find her. She must have gone outside for some fresh air, Mrs. Bigsley says sweetly. I can't have a sweet old lady voice because she's like pure Satan. You don't need to trust Mrs. Bigsley, and you ask the policeman to search upstairs. He obliges you, scurrying everywhere, calling for Jane in a bellowing voice. Jane? Jane! But with no success. I'm sure Jane left, and I'm leaving too, he says as he hurries for the door. Is he leaving in a rush because he's afraid of the curse? If he decides to follow the policeman outside, turn to page 64. If you run upstairs and try again to find Jane, turn to page 65. I feel like this police officer is not really going to be helping us because, one, he didn't get a warrant, so he is broken in unless it's, due cause, but I'm going to turn to page 65. You break away and you run upstairs, determined to find Jane. Come on, you call Michael. We must find Jane. The two of you dash around the house, up and down the stairs, calling her name. There are two places you haven't searched, the attic or the tower. You know we're going to that tower, guys. Return to page 95. because towers are cool, and if you know me, in series of unfortunate events, towers usually where they keep the deep dark secrets or a baby suspended in a birdcage. You climb up the main staircase. After exploring the hallway, you find the spiral staircase leading up to the tower. You run up, rolling around and around in the center of the pole so fast that you almost get dizzy by the time you reach the top of the stairs. A small square room with a large window in each side. You find a fine view of the grounds and the road and the surrounding countryside. There is no sign of Jane, but you watch with interest as the police car pulls up next to the one already there. A moment later, you see Jane, Michael, and the first policeman running. Even from the tower, you can see they are very agitated. Jane stumbles and the policeman helps her into the car. Michael stands looking up at the house, a blank look on his face. Then a second policeman guides Michael into the car and they drive away. You are glad your friends are safe. They're your cousins, aren't they? But you are frightened. You want to leave Chimney Rock as quickly as possible. As you start climbing down the spiral staircase, you hear the meowing at first distance, then closer, coming up the stairs. You decide to go down the stairs, turn to page 106. You decide to climb up the window and jump off the roof, then find your way down. No, I'm an idiot if I do that. I'm going to die. I know what gravity's like, and as I have boyish bones, if I fall off the tower, I will die. I'm going to turn to page 106. You grit your teeth and run down the stairs. The cat looks up, hissing and glaring with hatred. You feel dizzy and weak in the knees, but you run past it and down the hallway, down the staircase and into the kitchen door. Just as you're about to escape outside, you feel yourself being pulled slowly back, as if some invisible hand. What power can it be has stopped you in your tracks? A pair of ghostly eyes surround by a green glow. As its mouthless form, you hear from its command, "Leave at once. If ever you look at Chimney Rock, my fate will be your fate." You rush out of the bright sunshine. Thankfully, you're free and resolve never to look back at Chimney Rock again. The end. Or if you take one last look, turn to page 119. Guys, you paid for this episode. We're going to turn to page 119. We can't have a happy ending. That would just be just wrong. Thunk. Wow, that was a good ending. And that, folks, is The Mystery of Chimney Rock by Edward Packard. I really like this Choose Your Own Adventure. This is the first time I've gone through it, really, and I think it's fun just because a special place in my heart goes to all the creepy dark houses, the last house on the left, the house on Haunted Hill, the old black house, and there's so many great movies just based off the One Creepy Mansion. Even the 13th Ghost, one of my favorite guilty pleasure horror movies, just the best. Even actually one of my favorite movies is The Haunting, not the Owen Wilson one, wow guys, but the actual one, because it is a masterpiece of horror and suspense. I really enjoyed doing this. I'm so happy that you guys donated, just because all that money goes right back into the show. We really appreciate everything you guys have done for us, just because without you guys, we wouldn't be having a show, really. It would just be me and Meg talking about it and making silly jokes. But with you guys and sending us tweets and sending us listener mail and even reviews, it helps us a lot. It really makes us keep driving and keep wanting to make content for you guys. It's the one thing that really Meg and I look forward to every week when it comes to making people laugh as much as we like making ourselves laugh, just because we're a bunch of weirdos. Thank you guys for donating, and we really appreciate it. And from the bottom of our hearts, from both Meg and myself, thank you guys. And well, I'm Zach, and stay spooky. Bye.